is the calibration. So when we go up, when we talk about library shift, when we talk about dip and use the card, I think our MaxTrack swipe and sign, is now a real challenge that we need to consider. Let's talk about EMV adoption in the Asia Pac, because when we talk about EMV adoption, we always talk about when is the visa deadline, is it pushing for June 2012, is it talking about first January 2006? What is the deadline? Let's take a look around ourselves. Malaysia, it says migrated in 2005. There was no mandate for Visa MasterCard, it was Malaysia itself. Singapore, they migrated this year, again the local mandate. India, you may be surprised that we earlier thought that India is not going with EMV, it has refused to do that, it's buying MaxTrack customers from the world and everything. The kind of frauds they are suffering from, it has forced the Reserve Bank of India to constitute a working committee, do a research survey and give the recommendations. In June 2011 only, they have given a set of recommendations where they have proposed that any card in India, debit or credit, which is used especially outside India, should be a chip and PIN card. And this should happen within the next 4 months. Now, if India moves for that, and if India agrees to move its cards on EMV, you can very easily understand that Visa Asia Pac or MasterCard Asia Pac region will become very, very pushy for all the banks to have to move it now. So, we have the numbers in our, in front of us. Now, if we talk about EMV, the first thing that a bank needs to do is, yes, we know about what is EMV, it's a chip card, secure terminals, everything. You can think about chip and sign, you can talk about chip and PIN, obviously both have their own, advantages, disadvantages. Some in certain, regions, chip and sign is successful. PIN has failed miserably. But in the western part of the world, PIN is now very, very important to use. So they use the word chip and PIN because the counterfeiting of the card or the skimming of the card is countered through EMV chip cards because they cannot be copied. But the lost and stolen card frauds can be taken care of by PIN. So perhaps every country has its own mindset and philosophy of tackling it. I give you the example of Malaysia. Malaysia in 2005 mandated chip and signature, but they actually managed to reduce a lot of frauds, especially the skimming frauds. But the lost and stolen card report, lost and stolen card are still there. So they have set a new deadline, it is 2015, and they say that by 2015, all the cards will be chip and PIN. So this is how it is moving. Now let's talk about where you now know what exactly it's all about. So how to go about it? First thing you require in this whole model is chip card. The second thing is you need to have a chip personalization application. Third thing is your card embosser that you use for MaxTrack needs to have the capability to actually generate cryptograms and personalize a chip card. Terminals, POS or ATMs need to be upgraded. Generally, people get a little tricked by the term that this card reader is EMV compliant. That's one side to it. But generally, these ATM vendors also have got some ATM resident application. Something like NCI or CAM2, and first Windows has got something, Keyboard has got something. So you need to have both of them. So whenever you do the budgeting thing, do not assume that your ATMs are all EMV compliant. They are. But to activate EMV processing, you perhaps need to invest some more money. The last thing is the card host. It's the application that that is the issuance side or the switch that maintains the card and that processes the transactions. These are the different components which all need to be upgraded to migrate to EMV. So let's take a look. What is a chip card? This last one, what exactly this is? So it's primarily a 4-layered card. On the top layer is your customer data and the profile. On the third layer, you have the Visa or MasterCard application, which is VSDC or M-chip, whatever. The second layer is where you have the card OS, card operating system. There are generally 3 major categories. One is the Maltos, which is the high-end, very secure operating system. Mid-range is these are Java cards which use global platform, and on the cheaper side is the native platform or the native cards. You have got Proof, you have got so many others of them. So basically these are the things. And the last layer is where you have got the microprocessor or the ICC. So these are the 4 layers that actually kind of make this chip a smart chip or an EMV chip. Let's move towards EMV personalization, because now we know what is smart card, we know what are the components. Let's talk about how to personalize the card. What are the different things that we need to consider? They are talking broadly. There are 4 steps to it. The first step is you have to get the cards ordered to the manufacturer, and the cards have to be delivered. I mean, there are companies like Samsung, there are companies like Zomato, there are companies like Proof. They all manufacture chips. So the first thing is you get the plastic with your profiles on top of it. Second thing is you use your standard traditional switch that you have today to generate the embossing file or the card data file. Third thing is you do the EMV data preparation. This is where the EMV kicks in. This is where you integrate your personal application with an HSM and generate cryptograms according to specific cards. And the last thing is card production. This is the point where you connect your EMV personal application with a machine, with a card embosser, and produce a physical card where you actually, the data that is generated in the previous step, you kind of, write those programs on the physical chip. So this is largely the 4 steps that define what is EMV personalization. Now, what also is important to understand what you should consider when you evaluate an EMV personal application. The first thing should be that do not get locked in. It's a word where we're talking about open world, open platforms, but it's a fact that many applications today are trying to kind of get you in a locking situation. So you need to be sure that whatever personal thing that you have, it is hardware independent largely. So it should support native cards, Java and Virtuos cards. So if a bank wants to, let's say, have a native card for a different segment of customers and a Virtuos card for a very high end of customers, you have to know that okay, it's all supported. Second, you should know that it is not specific to only one or 2 card embossers. So you should have the luxury or the freedom to choose between any of the popular card embossers that are within the market, because if suppose any specific like CIM or Data Card Matica, if suppose they all depend on the local reseller and the local support that is present. So this flexibility in the choice is important. Third thing is the HSMs. You should preferably have a choice between selecting HSMs. So the real point that I'm trying to make here is the application should be, and based on the open standards, should not have specifics where they actually kind of lock you into specific hardware. Having an open application allows you to actually choose between any hardware that you want to have, any card that you want to have. Let's talking about the card host, EMV requiring you need to have the 18s upgraded, like I said earlier. They have to be upgraded not only hardware but also the 18 software as well. Same thing is true for POS terminals. And same thing is true for card switches. Card switches generally do not have by default, they are not processing cryptograms, they are not processing EMV tags, they are not processing EMV data. So your card switches have also to be upgraded. So everything has to be upgraded. You have to be sure that your card switches, your card embossing machine, your HSM, your card personal application, everything is now certified and it's compatible with largely popular platforms that we have around. I would like to just touch a little about how EMV secures a card more than a normal match card, other than having a chip on it. There are 3 points to it. One is it has card authentication, which is not the case in a match card. Match card is just as card authentication. Second thing is card holder verification, and third thing is transaction authentication. These are the 3 security features of EMV. So when I talk about card authentication, it actually means that when the card is used on an acquiring terminal, these 2 devices, kind of exchange certain cryptograms and certain that the card is valid and the acquiring terminal is valid. Cardholder verification, this is the authentication of the cardholder, which is generally an online transaction. Transaction authorization, this again could be an online or an offline mode, depending on your configuration, depending on your value of transaction. So when you talk about considerations for EMV, the major considerations are card authentication. So card authentication has to be an online mode where the information has to be passed on to the card issuance switch, which is CMS for authorization, or it also supports offline card authorization. This is again possible through your EMV card, and this is important where either the communication is very expensive, or the communication is not there, or in cases where the transaction value is just too low that you don't really want to do it, and because you've got your cryptograms and your things securely programmed in your chip, it's possible to do so. Second thing is transaction authorization. This it has seen it is an online and it has an offline mechanism. So generally, MaxTrack cards are used online. So when you swipe a card, it always comes to your host for authorization. But in case of EMV card, there is a possibility that certain transactions you can ask that fine, when the card is used at a petrol pump, just clearly, simply use it over there, and then in the batch mode, just push the transaction at the host side. In most cases, it depends on the value of the transaction and the merchant risk. Third thing is cardholder verification. Now this is what we have today. Today we have on ATM we use POS, we use PIN, on POS we use signature. So the same case is there. When you use an EMV card, you can go for a signature-based verification. You can go with an offline PIN. Now this gives you a lot of flexibility that you can use. The PIN is generally, the offline PIN is programmed on the chip itself. You can go there. It requires a POS terminal with a PIN pad. You can just enter the PIN, and the POS terminal authenticates the PIN with the help of the card. So even if your card is lost, you are safe. Third is offline, online PIN. This is the same thing that we have today. So when you enter the PIN has to come to your card issuer for the authorization. Last thing is no CVM, no card verification method. EMV also allows that you may not want to have a signature or whatever, and this is largely true for your contactless cards. You just say that I would like to have contactless card. I will bring it closer and then I will walk out. This is very good and successful model for low value transaction like paying for bus fare and train fare and things of that sort. Lastly, you need device between, you want to have a contact card, which means a physical card with a chip that you need to kind of physically touch with your point terminal. You want to go with a cardless, so a contactless card, which is becoming very popular now for low-end transactions, or you want to have a hybrid model where you have got contact as well as contactless. So small transaction can happen through a contactless one, and large transactions can happen through a contact version. Now, just concluding it, I would finally just like to say that EMV is a reality that is there, that is needed. It gives you business advantages, it gives you your customer satisfaction, it gives satisfaction to your regulators, and then it actually helps you get positioned for the next generation cards which are going to come here, which is largely the contactless cards. And with the progress and growth of mobile banking and mobile commerce, I think these contactless cards and NFC-based mobile phones will become a real lead in the market, because when you reach out to your masses, you won't find a lot of fancy networks and these sort of things. Contactless cards with let's say a mobile connection, with an NFC handset, it's going to perhaps rule the transactions that are happening on the mobile front rather than the mobile. Thank you very much.